In a distant galaxy, the alien coalition was filled with joy and excitement. They had just won a long war against their greatest enemy, the Zarnax. The leaders of different races gathered in the grand hall of their home planet, a place bursting with colors and lights. It was a time for celebration, and the air was thick with laughter and music. The hall was decorated with bright banners and floating lights that changed colors. Food from all corners of the galaxy filled long tables. There were sweet fruits from the planet Nylor, spicy dishes from Trezor, and drinks that sparkled like stars. The leaders feasted, their hearts full of pride and their minds buzzing with thoughts of victory. Commander Zorath, a tall alien with shimmering blue skin and sharp features, stood at the center of the hall. He raised his glass high, his voice booming over the music. "Today we celebrate our strength. We defeated the Zarnax, and now we are the rulers of this galaxy." Cheers erupted from the crowd, and everyone raised their glasses, chanting, "Victory!" As the night went on, stories of bravery and clever tactics were shared. The aliens praised their technology, their weapons, and their teamwork. Each leader boasted about their role in the battle. "Our ships are the fastest in the universe," shouted Vela, a green-skinned alien with wide eyes. "No one can catch us." The crowd cheered, their spirits soaring. But amidst the joy, a worried scout named Grix entered the hall. He was small and quick, always moving. Grix had been sent to gather information about Earth. His eyes were wide with concern as he approached the leaders. Excuse me," he shouted over the noise. "I have important news." The laughter faded, and the crowd turned to look at Grix. Commander Zorath frowned. "What is it, Grix? Can't you see we are celebrating?" Grix shifted nervously. "I know, but I detected a strange energy coming from Earth. It's unlike anything we've seen before." His voice trembled as he spoke, his fear evident. The leaders exchanged glances, their expressions turning from joy to confusion. Vela laughed, dismissing the concern. "Earth? What can humans do? They are weak and primitive." Another leader, Commander Thrax, crossed his arms and raised an eyebrow. "A strange energy? Are you sure, Grix? We just defeated the Zarnax." "We have nothing to fear," Grix tried to explain, but... "They are humans!" "They have been quiet, but we don't know what they are planning." "We should investigate!" The leaders ignored him, turning back to their celebration. Music played louder and drinks flowed freely. The party continued, filled with laughter and cheers, while Grix felt a growing sense of dread. As the night wore on, Grix decided to take matters into his own hands. He slipped away from the hall and contacted a small team of soldiers who believed in his warning. "We need to check on Earth," he urged them. "I fear we are underestimating them." The soldiers exchanged worried looks but nodded in agreement. "Let's go! We'll find out what is happening," one of them said. Grix felt a surge of hope. Maybe, just maybe, they could uncover the truth before it was too late. Back in the grand hall, the celebration reached its peak. The leaders danced and sang, reveling in their victory. They were unaware that a storm was brewing. As they laughed and drank, a powerful force was gathering on Earth. The humans were not as weak as they believed. Grix's warning echoed in the back of their minds, but they pushed it aside, lost in their joy. The party continued until the stars twinkled brightly in the sky. The alien leaders had no idea that their triumph would soon turn into fear. For while they celebrated their victory, a new battle was just beginning, one they were not prepared for. The night ended with a grand fireworks display, lighting up the sky and filling the air with colorful sparks. The aliens cheered, their hearts light with joy, completely unaware of the impending storm. Grix watched from a distance, his heart heavy with worry, knowing that soon the truth would reveal itself, and their celebrations would be shattered. The celebration was still echoing in the grand hall, but not all was well. While the alien leaders danced and laughed, Grix, the small scout, sat outside, deep in thought. He couldn't shake the feeling of unease in his chest. The strange energy he detected from Earth felt significant, and he was determined to find out what was happening. As the night wore on, the party inside continued, but the joy was starting to fade for Grix. He looked up at the stars, wondering about the humans and what they were planning. He remembered the stories he had heard about their resourcefulness and bravery. "What if they are not as weak as we think?" he whispered to himself. Inside the hall, Commander Zorath was still reveling in their victory. He stood on a platform addressing the crowd. "We have shown our strength! Let us continue to celebrate our glorious future." The crowd cheered, but Grix felt a knot tightening in his stomach. He knew they were not truly safe. The next morning, the leaders gathered for a meeting. They still buzzed with excitement from the celebration, but Grix couldn't let them forget the warning he had given. He waited outside the meeting room, pacing back and forth. Finally, when the leaders stepped out, he seized the moment. "Excuse me," Grix called, his voice firm. The leaders turned, their expressions shifting from joy to annoyance. "I need to speak with you. It's important." Zorath sighed. "What is it now, Grix? We are busy celebrating our victory." Grix took a deep breath. "I still believe we should check on Earth. The energy I detected is growing stronger. If we ignore it, we may face serious consequences." His voice trembled, but he stood tall. The leaders exchanged glances. Commander Thrax shrugged dismissively. "We have nothing to worry about. The humans are not a threat. We defeated the Zarnax, didn't we? Why would we fear a weak species?" "But that's just it," Grix urged. "They may seem weak, but they have hidden strengths. We cannot underestimate them. I have sent a small team to investigate, and they will report back soon." Zorath narrowed his eyes. "You acted without permission, Grix? You are risking our safety with your paranoia." The other leaders nodded in agreement, reinforcing Grix's isolation. Feeling rejected, Grix turned away, anger and frustration bubbling inside him. He knew he had to prove himself. If he could just find some evidence of the humans' preparations, maybe the leaders would listen. Meanwhile, back in the meeting room, the leaders resumed their discussions about future plans. "We should expand our territories now that the Zarnax are defeated," Zorath declared, his voice booming with confidence. The leaders discussed plans for new colonies and trade routes, but deep down, Grix's worries gnawed at him. He left the meeting room and decided to gather his own information. He wanted to see what was happening on Earth for himself. Grix took a small ship and set off towards Earth, determined to gather evidence. As he flew through the stars, he thought about what he might find. What if humans were preparing a counterattack? What if they were building an army? The more he thought, the more worried he became. When he arrived in Earth's orbit, he activated his ship's cloaking device. He could see the blue planet below, beautiful and vibrant, but something felt different. There were movements he hadn't expected. He focused his sensors, scanning for any signs of military activity. His heart raced as he began to pick up signals. "There are military bases," he gasped. "And they are mobilizing." Grix felt a mix of fear and excitement. He quickly recorded everything he saw, knowing he needed to get back to the Coalition and share this news. As he headed back to the alien home planet, he thought about the leaders and their celebrations. They were too confident, too sure of themselves. If they did not take the threat seriously, they would be in grave danger. When he landed, he rushed to find Zorath and the others. "You have to listen to me," he shouted, bursting into the meeting room. The leaders looked surprised, their faces shifting from curiosity to irritation. "What is it now, Grix?" Zorath asked, crossing his arms. "I have evidence. Humans are preparing for something. They have military bases and they are readying their forces." Grix's voice shook with urgency. The leaders exchanged uncertain glances, and for the first time, Grix saw a flicker of doubt in their eyes. Maybe they would finally listen. Back on Earth, life was busy as usual. People went about their daily routines, unaware of the storm brewing in space. But deep within the military command center, top human leaders gathered to discuss an important matter. They had received strange reports about a powerful alien force, and concern filled the air. General Sarah Mitchell, a strong and respected leader, stood at the front of the room. With her short hair and sharp eyes, she commanded attention. "Listen up, everyone," she said, her voice steady. "We have received intel that alien ships are approaching our planet. We need to prepare ourselves for what might come." The room fell silent as the officers exchanged worried glances. A tall officer, Lieutenant James, raised his hand. "Do we know who they are, General? Are they here to attack us?" General Mitchell shook her head. "We don't know much yet. All we have are reports of their strange energy readings. We must assume they see us as a threat." Her expression was serious, and the weight of her words hung in the air. Another officer, Captain Emily, spoke up. "What's our plan, General? We need to show them we won't back down." Her voice was filled with determination. General Mitchell nodded, impressed by the spirit in the room. "We will mobilize our forces immediately, prepare the ships, and gather our best soldiers. We cannot let them underestimate us." As the officers moved into action, General Mitchell felt a surge of hope. Humans were known for their resilience and resourcefulness, and she believed they could face any challenge. In the days that followed, preparations ramped up. In military bases across the country, soldiers trained hard. They practiced their tactics, honed their skills, and worked together as a team. General Mitchell visited each base, encouraging the troops and reminding them of their strength. "We are humans! We have faced challenges before, and we have always come out on top," she declared. The soldiers cheered, fueled by her confidence. Meanwhile, scientists and engineers worked around the clock to strengthen their defenses. They improved their technology, creating new weapons and upgrading their ships. The atmosphere in the command center was electric with excitement and determination. Everyone knew that they were standing on the brink of a great challenge, but they were ready to face it. As preparations continued, General Mitchell received an unexpected message from an intelligence officer. "General, we have intercepted communications from the alien coalition. They are celebrating a recent victory and appear to be underestimating us." Mitchell smiled, sensing an opportunity. "Let's use that to our advantage. We'll show them that they are wrong about us." She gathered her top officers and laid out her plan. "We will let them think we are unprepared. But in reality, we will be ready to strike when they least expect it." The officers nodded in agreement, and a plan began to take shape. They would allow the aliens to approach, pretending to be weak and vulnerable. When the moment was right, they would unleash their full strength. Meanwhile, the alien coalition celebrated their victory, blissfully unaware of the preparations taking place on Earth. Grix, the worried scout, was back with the leaders, trying to convince them to take the threat seriously. "You must understand, humans are capable of much more than we know," he pleaded. But the leaders laughed, brushing off his concerns. "We defeated the Zarnax, Grix. How could humans pose any threat?" they replied, their laughter echoing in the hall. Back on Earth, the atmosphere was tense but focused. General Mitchell and her team worked tirelessly to prepare for the approaching alien fleet. They knew that every moment counted, and they were determined to protect their home. As the days passed, news spread among the soldiers. "We're ready," they would shout during training sessions. "We will defend our planet!" The spirit of determination filled the ranks, and a sense of unity emerged. General Mitchell often thought about the aliens and their celebrations. She believed that their arrogance would be their downfall. "They are underestimating us," she told her officers, "and that will be their biggest mistake." With each passing day, the tension grew. The aliens were moving closer, and humanity was preparing for a confrontation that could change everything. General Mitchell stood tall, ready to lead her people into battle. The humans were determined, united, and ready to show the galaxy that they would not be defeated. As they awaited the unknown, one thing was clear. The humans were not the weaklings the aliens thought they were. A storm was coming, and humanity was prepared to face it head-on. The atmosphere in the alien coalition's command center was tense. Grix paced back and forth, his mind racing. After delivering his warning about the humans, he had not been able to shake the feeling that they were in grave danger. He was determined to find more evidence to convince the leaders that the humans were not as weak as they believed. One night, as he sat in his small quarters, Grix decided to take matters into his own hands. He accessed the coalition's intelligence network to search for more information about the humans. His fingers danced across the controls, and soon, images of Earth filled the screen. There were military bases, ships, and preparations unlike anything he had ever seen. Grix's heart raced as he studied the data. "They're building an army!" he gasped. The humans were not just preparing, they were gearing up for something big. His mind flashed back to the reports he had seen of their weaponry and technology. They might be more advanced than anyone realized. As he continued to dig deeper, Grix stumbled upon a classified file labeled Project Titan. His eyes widened with curiosity. He had never heard of this project before. With a quick glance around to ensure he was alone, he opened the file. What he found inside shocked him. The project detailed an advanced weapon that humans were developing, a powerful energy cannon designed to take down entire fleets. Grix felt a chill run down his spine. If this weapon were finished, it could easily destroy the coalition's ships. "We cannot let them finish this," he whispered, panic surging through him. Grix quickly copied the information onto a small data chip. He knew he had to bring this discovery to the leaders immediately. With determination in his heart, he rushed to the meeting room. He burst in, breathless and wide-eyed. "Leaders! I have urgent news!" he shouted. The leaders turned, their expressions a mix of irritation and curiosity. "What is it now, Grix?" Zorath asked, crossing his arms. "I found something important! The humans are working on a weapon called Project Titan. It's incredibly powerful, and if completed, it could wipe us out." Grix's voice trembled with urgency. The leaders exchanged doubtful glances. "You've always been paranoid," Thrax said dismissively. "Humans are weak. They cannot possibly create something that dangerous." But Grix persisted. "I have proof. I found the details in their intelligence network. We must act before they finish it." Zorath furrowed his brow, considering Grix's words. "If what you say is true, we must take this seriously. But we need more evidence. I want you to gather a team and go back to Earth. We need to confirm this project's existence." Grix felt a surge of hope. Finally, the leaders were listening. "Thank you, Commander. I'll prepare the team right away." He turned and rushed out of the room, determination fueling his steps. Meanwhile, on Earth, General Mitchell and her team were deep in their own preparations. They were testing the prototype of Project Titan, and excitement filled the air. Scientists and engineers worked tirelessly, making adjustments and improvements. General Mitchell watched with pride as the weapon came together. "We are on the brink of something incredible," she said, addressing her team. "If we can finish this before the aliens arrive, we'll have the upper hand." Just then, one of the engineers, Dr. Lee, spoke up. "General, the weapon is almost ready for testing. We just need a few more days." Mitchell nodded. "Let's push to get it done! We can't afford to be caught off guard." The atmosphere in the lab was electric with anticipation, and everyone worked faster, motivated by the desire to protect their home. Back in the alien coalition, Grix gathered a small team of scouts, ready to return to Earth. They boarded a small stealth ship, determined to uncover the truth about Project Titan. As they flew through space, Grix felt a mix of fear and excitement. This was their chance to gather critical information and protect their home. When they arrived in Earth's orbit, they cloaked their ship to avoid detection. Grix and his team began to scan for any signs of the weapon's construction. What they found left them even more alarmed. The humans were indeed building the weapon, and it was closer to completion than Grix had feared. "We need to get this information back to the leaders," Grix said, his voice steady despite the chaos of his thoughts. "If we don't, they won't take us seriously." As they prepared to leave, Grix felt a sense of urgency. The fate of both their worlds rested on this mission. They needed to warn the coalition before it was too late. But little did they know, the clock was ticking, and both sides were racing toward an inevitable confrontation. The day had come. The alien coalition, led by Zorath, gathered their fleet in space, ready to confront the humans. Thousands of ships lined up, their dark hulls gleaming against the stars. The mood was tense, filled with anticipation and determination. Zorath stood at the helm of the flagship, his eyes scanning the vastness of space. "Today we will show the humans their place," Zorath declared to his officers. "They think they can threaten us, but they will learn. They are nothing against our might." Meanwhile, back on Earth, General Mitchell stood on the command deck of the United Earth Fleet. She looked out at her assembled ships, a mix of sleek battleships and agile fighters. Each vessel was armed and ready, with crews prepared for battle. The atmosphere was electric with determination. "Today we fight for our planet," General Mitchell shouted, her voice steady and strong. "The aliens believe we are weak, but we will prove them wrong. We are united, and together we will defend our home." The crew erupted into cheers, their spirits lifted by her words. General Mitchell turned to her command team. "Activate Project Titan. We are ready to show them what humanity can do." As the human ships moved into position, Grix and his team of scouts had returned to the alien coalition. They rushed into the command center, panting and anxious. "Leaders! We have vital information!" Grix shouted, catching Zorath's attention. "What is it now, Grix?" Zorath asked, irritation flashing in his eyes. "Project Titan is complete. The humans are ready, and they will use it against us," Grix said urgently. "We must reconsider our approach." The room fell silent. Zorath frowned, processing the information. "We cannot retreat now. We have already committed to this fight." Grix shook his head. "If we attack without knowing what we face, we could be destroyed. We need to gather more intelligence before engaging." But Zorath was resolute. "No! We will go forward with the plan. They have had their time to prepare, and we cannot show weakness." With both sides ready, the tension reached a boiling point. The alien fleet moved toward Earth, their ships glowing with energy. General Mitchell stood at the command console, watching the enemy approach. "Prepare for battle," she ordered. "All ships' weapon systems online. We will not back down!" The hum of energy filled the air as weapons powered up, and the human fleet took formation, ready to defend their world. As the alien ships drew closer, Mitchell felt her heart race. This was it. Suddenly, the command deck shook as the first shots were fired. Bright beams of energy illuminated the darkness of space. The battle had begun. Alien ships fired their weapons, and the human fleet responded with a barrage of missiles and energy blasts. Explosions lit up the void as the two forces clashed. The sound of alarms echoed through the command deck as reports of damage came in. "We're taking heavy fire!" an officer shouted, his voice tense. "Shields holding, but we need to strike back. Target their flagship," General Mitchell commanded. "We need to take down their leader to disrupt their forces." As the human ships concentrated their fire on Zorath's flagship, Grix watched from the alien command. "We're losing ships!" he shouted in panic. "We have to defend our flagship." Zorath's face darkened with anger. "Fight harder! We cannot lose this battle!" The clash continued, ships darting and weaving through the chaos of battle. Human pilots maneuvered skillfully, dodging incoming fire while returning shots with precision. Grix knew that the humans were fighting with everything they had, and their strategy was paying off. "Prepare Project Titan," General Mitchell shouted, her voice cutting through the chaos. "We need to end this now." The engineers activated the powerful weapon, and a massive energy beam began to charge. The command deck lit up with bright lights, and anticipation filled the air. "Firing in 3, 2, 1, now!" Mitchell yelled. The energy beam shot forth, a blinding light racing through space toward Zorath's flagship. Time seemed to slow as everyone watched the beam approach its target. It struck the flagship with an enormous explosion, sending shockwaves through the alien fleet. Zorath's eyes widened in horror as his ship began to break apart. "No! This cannot be happening!" he shouted. The alien fleet faltered, confusion spreading among their ranks. Grix realized their leaders were in trouble. "We must retreat," he cried. "We cannot win this battle!" As the human fleet pressed their advantage, the alien ships began to withdraw. General Mitchell watched as the enemy retreated, her heart racing with triumph. "Victory is ours!" she cheered, the crew erupting into shouts of joy. But in the midst of celebration, Grix knew this was just the beginning. The humans had proven their strength, but the war was not over. As he watched the human fleet celebrate, he vowed to return and make them understand that the fight was far from finished.